Good evening, folks, and welcome back to my podcast. This is George Nathaniel for you. As I always do, I always come back with this very simple topics. Well, what is the topic for today? The topic for today is efforts. So, when I talk about efforts, let us evaluate what kind of efforts are we talking about. Are we talking about efforts over just getting a thing done? Or are we talking about our effort at best? Well, folks, many a times we just put in our efforts to overcome a challenge or overcome a thing, and that may or may not be our effort at best. Well, let us analyze for a while. Had we put in our effort at best in overcoming that particular thing, would the result be different? Would the result be better? Well, this is something each one of us needs to spend time to understand and evaluate over. So, folks, looking at our efforts in our personal, professional, and lives that can help others, let us understand how much of efforts are we putting in. Are we putting in the efforts over our potential? Are we putting in the efforts to overgrow our potential? Or are we enhancing our potential and then putting in the efforts? Well, folks, you can see even I am getting tongue-tied. That's because there's so many variation in efforts. So, folks, as I always say, let us sit back and spend a few precious moments for ourselves. Let us evaluate what kind of efforts are we putting in. How serious we are about the kind of efforts. Have we landmarked our efforts? And of course, can we be consistent with our efforts? So, folks, looking at our personal lives, let us evaluate how things can get better. Looking at our professional lives, let us evaluate how things can get even much better. And looking at efforts over other walks of our life, let us understand how we can grow better wellness. So, folks, as we see, as we realize that the word effort is not as simple as it sounds, the word effort can always be bettered. The word effort comes with a lot of variation. And of course, most importantly, the word effort can always be bettered into efforts over our potential, over our abilities, over our landmarks, over anything that we chose to do in our lives. So, folks, like I always say, it's very important to analyze. It's very important to understand how we are situated in a situation. It's very important to understand our commitments. It's very important to understand how we drive our life towards betterment. And most importantly, it's very important to understand how we can make a difference in lives and how we can better our environment. So you see, folks, I keep talking about multiple things. I talk about self, I talk about professional, and I talk about the environment. That's because all of us together needs to make a difference. It can never ever be I, me, myself. It always has to be pertaining to the entire environment, the entire ecospace. It's about dwelling in togetherness. So, folks, coming back to my simple topic of efforts, I'm sure by now we would have understood the variations that we put in across our efforts. I'm sure by now we would have understood our potential in how we could have bettered our efforts. And I'm sure by now we could have understood how we could have made our efforts even much better. So, folks, I encourage everyone to evaluate the process over their lives. I encourage everyone to step up. I encourage everyone to understand that things can always be better. You can always go to the next level, and there's always a step up in life. So, folks, as I leave you with this short topic, as I leave you with this short word, with a very, very vast meaning, as I leave you with the efforts that each one of us put in across every moments in every spheres of our life, let us understand that we can always put in our best effort, and the effort can always get better. And that helps us to get our potential better, to elevate our potential to the next level, to elevate ourselves over anything that we can do in life. I want to be generic, so that's the reason why I'm holding back words, because efforts can vary. Effort comes in variations. But most importantly, we should always put forward our best efforts, because that is what makes a big difference in lives. So, folks, as we sit back and realize, as we sit back and plan our next step up, let us understand that our efforts should make a difference in lives. Our efforts should make a difference in betterment. And our efforts should make a difference in what we do. Folks, I hope you like listening to my simple podcast. I keep getting a lot of requests. Well, I try to convert them into blogs. I have my blog site called georgenathaniel.net. I, of course, write in other publishing firms as well. But most importantly, I would say go to my blog, which is georgenathaniel.net. Come down, listen to my podcast. Keep coming to me with your request. I'll be more than happy to evaluate. I'll be more than happy to come back with the simple topics that we keep hearing all through our lives. I'll be very happy to add that extra value to your life. I'll be more than happy to understand that my efforts make a difference in lives. So, folks, as I continue to make a difference in life, as I continue to step up, I encourage each one of y'all to step up. Let us work towards betterment. Let us keep up our effort at best, and let us keep bettering our best. So, folks, as I leave you with the topic of efforts, I wish all of y'all wonderful moments. I hope you like listening to my podcast. This is George Nathaniel for you. Thank you so much for listening. Do keep sharing as well. And I look forward to many more podcasts ahead. This is George Nathaniel. Thank you once again.